You know, there's a sound in Washington that's louder than any shout, louder than any gavel banging on a podium. It's the sound of whispering. It's the sound of cynical laughter behind a heavy oak door when the cameras are off and the microphones are cut. Imagine that scene. You have men and women elected to serve. Folks who stand up on the steps of the Capitol and pledge undying loyalty to a man, only to turn around and treat him like a punchline the second he leaves the room. It makes your stomach turn, doesn't it? Before we get too far down this road, folks, I want to ask you to do something for me. We need to build a community here that values the truth, that values plain speaking. So if you believe in restoring the soul of this nation, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Become a member. Join us in this fight. We need you in our corner because what we're up against, this kind of face politics, it takes all of us to stop it. Now look at what's happening. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, someone who has been one of Donald's loudest cheerleaders, coming out and pulling the curtain back. She's saying the quiet part out loud. She's telling the world the Republicans, the very people Donald Trump counts on, are privately mocking him. They're laughing at him. She says they act one way to his face, terrified, bowing down. And then they ridicule him the moment the door clicks shut. Think about what that actually means for a second. It's not just about hurt feelings or political gossip. It's about character. My dad used to tell me, Joey, a man's word is his bond. If you look a man in the eye and shake his hand, you mean it. But what we are seeing in this administration, in this Congress, is a total collapse of that basic dignity. They are driven by fear, not conviction. They support the president not because they believe in his vision, but because they are scared of his tweets, scared of his base, scared of losing their power, and so they live a lie every single day. It reminds me of the broader pattern we've been seeing for years now, the chaos, the uncertainty. When the people running the government don't even respect their own leader, how can they respect the office? How can they respect the Constitution? How can they respect you? They treat the presidency like a reality TV show where the only thing that matters is surviving to the next episode. And frankly, American families, people sitting at their kitchen tables in Scranton, in Detroit, in Phoenix, they deserve better than a government run by people who think this is all just a big joke. It's not a joke, it's people's lives. When you strip it all away, what you have here is a crisis of trust. And I don't use that word lightly. If these Republican lawmakers are willing to lie to the President of the United States, the man from their own party, about their loyalty, what do you think they are doing to you? If they can fake a smile for the cameras while tearing him down in the cloakroom, do you think they're being straight with you about your health care, about your Social Security, about the safety of your kids? Marjorie Taylor Greene exposing this mockery isn't just some DC drama. It's a symptom of a sickness that has taken over the Capitol under Donald Trump. He has built a culture based on fear, collaboration. And when you rule by fear, you don't get loyalty. You get what we're seeing right now, hypocrisy. You get a room full of people nodding their heads yes while thinking no, and that is dangerous. It is dangerous because when a crisis hits, a real crisis, not one made up for a rally, you need a team that can speak truth to power. You need advisors and legislators who can say, Mr. President, this is a bad idea without fear of retribution. But that's not what we have. We have a White House surrounded by people who are privately rolling their eyes, publicly pouring gasoline on the fire. And Donald, he's pushing forward, demanding total obedience, seemingly unaware or maybe just uncaring that the foundation he's standing on is made of sand. It's a house of cards, folks. And when it shakes, it's not the politicians who get hurt. They'll be fine. They have their pensions and their book deals. It's the American people who pay the price for this dysfunction. We saw this kind of thing before in history, where leaders surrounded themselves with yes men who secretly despise them. It never ends well. It leads to bad decisions. It leads to isolation. It leads to a government that is completely disconnected from the reality of working people. I look at this news and I don't feel glee. I don't feel happy that the GOP is fighting. I feel a deep sadness for what we've lost. We've lost the idea of service. We've traded statesmen for actors. We need to get back to a place where leaders are respected because they earn it, not because they demand it. We need a government where people say what they mean and mean what they say. That shouldn't be too much to ask. But right now, with this administration, with these stories coming out about secret mockery and fake loyalty, it feels like we are a million miles away from that. And that, my friends, is why we have to stay engaged. We have to demand better because we are better than this. Part 3. You know, the thing that really gets under my skin isn't just the politics of it, it's the betrayal. Think about the folks out there in the heartland. I've met them. I've looked into their eyes at union halls, at diners, at church picnics. These are people who put their faith in Donald Trump. They bought the hats. They went to the rallies. They sent in $5, $10, maybe $20 that they really couldn't afford to lose, all because they believed he was fighting for them. They believed the people standing next to him were fighting for them, too. And now we hear this. We hear that the very people taking those votes, taking that support, are turning around and treating the whole movement like a punchline. It's heartbreaking, really. It shows a level of cynicism that makes you wonder if there's any honor left in that party. They aren't just laughing at Donald, they're laughing at the people who voted for him. They're saying, we'll use your anger to get elected, we'll use your passion to hold on to power, but we don't respect the man you chose. This is the worst kind of elitism. You hear them talk all the time about the elites in Washington, about the swamp. Well, folks, what do you call it when you have a group of powerful politicians sitting in a private room, sipping their coffee and mocking the leader they publicly praise? That's the swamp right there. That is exactly what people hate about politics. It's two-faced, it's dishonest. And it treats the American voter like a pawn in a game. We deserve leaders who act the same way in private as they do in public. I remember my mom telling me, Joey, character is what you do when no one is watching. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene just told us what these Republicans are doing when no one is watching. They aren't working on your healthcare costs. They aren't trying to lower the price of gas or fix the roads. They're engaging in high school gossip. They're tearing down their own president because they don't have the guts to lead themselves. It's a mess, and it's a distraction from the real work that needs to be done for this country. Let's talk about the fear for a minute, because that's the shadow hanging over all of this. Why are these Republicans mocking Trump in private? Why don't they say it to his face? Why don't they go on the news and say, I disagree with the president? It's because they are terrified. They are scared to death of a mean tweet. They're scared of being primaried. They are scared of you, the voters, finding out that they don't actually believe in the things they say they believe in. And look at who is delivering this news, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I've had my disagreements with her. Plenty of them. But in this specific moment, she's exposing a fracture that goes right down the middle of their party. She's claiming to be the loyal one, calling out the fakes. What you have is a civil war with Trump in the middle of it, thinking he's in command, while his own generals are rolling their eyes behind his back. How can you run a country like that? How can you manage foreign policy or the economy or national security when your own team is terrified of you and doesn't respect you? A president needs honest counsel. You need people who can walk into the Oval Office and say, "Sir, you're wrong." I had that. Every president before this had that. But Donald has created an atmosphere where honesty gets you fired and sycophancy gets you promoted. So what's left? A bunch of people nodding along while secretly thinking it's all a disaster. It's a dangerous way to lead. It isolates the president from reality. If everyone around him is faking it, he never gets the hard truths he needs to hear. And when the president is isolated, we are watching a party that has completely lost its moral compass, drifting aimlessly because they are too afraid to stand up for anything real. They are held hostage by their own fear of one man. And frankly, America is too big, too important, and too full of promise to be held back by a group of politicians who are too scared to tell the truth. You know, folks, let's look at what this actually does to the work of the people, because that's what we're supposed to be doing here. Work. When I was in the Senate and later in the White House, we had disagreements. Lord knows we argued. But at the end of the day, we were focused on getting the job done. We were focused on the bill on the desk, not the gossip in the hallway. But look at what's happening now. If these Republican members of Congress are spending their energy mocking the president, rolling their eyes and whispering in corners, do you think they're focused on you? Do you think they're focused on fixing the supply chains or making sure your kids' schools have what they need? No, they're focused on the drama. They're focused on the game. To them, Washington isn't a place of service. It's a high school cafeteria. And right now, the cool kids are laughing at the principal behind his back. And here's the kicker. They think they're smarter than him. That's really what this is about. They think they can ride his coattails to get elected, use his voters to keep their seats, and then sit in their fancy offices and laugh about how they're actually the ones in charge. It's arrogant. It's the kind of arrogance that makes people hate politics. They think they're putting one over on Donald, and they think they're putting one over on you. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If they think the president is a joke, why are they voting for his policies? Why are they enabling him? It's because they don't have a backbone. They'd rather keep their jobs than do what's right. They'd rather live a lie than face a primary challenger. That's not leadership. That's cowardice. And while they play real families are trying to figure out how to pay the bills. We need leaders who are serious people doing serious work, not a bunch of politicians treating the presidency like a punchline. Now, I want to say something about strength. Donald Trump loves to talk about strength. He talks about being a strong man, about dominating the room. He wants the world to think he is the toughest guy on the block. But let me tell you something my father taught me. Respect is earned, not demanded. You can't bully people into respecting you. You can scare them into silence, sure. You can threaten them into submission, but you can't force them to respect you. And that is what Marjorie Taylor Greene just proved. She pulled back the curtain and showed us that the strength of this administration is an illusion. It's a facade. If the people closest to you, the people in your own party, the people who are supposed to be your team are laughing at you, the minute you turn around, you aren't strong, you're weak, you're a leader in name only. It's sad, really. It paints a picture of a president who is completely alone. He's surrounded by people, crowds cheering his name, politicians shaking his hand. But how many of them are actually with him? How many of them actually believe in him? According to Congresswoman Greene, not as many as you'd think. He's sitting there in the Oval Office thinking he's the king of the world while the people outside his door are snickering. This isn't just about Donald Trump's ego, though. It's about our national standing. Do you think foreign leaders don't see this? Do you think our allies and our adversaries aren't watching? When they see that the president's own party doesn't respect him, it makes America look weak. It makes us look divided and dysfunctional. We used to be the envy of the world. We used to be the standard for stability. Now we look like a reality show gone wrong. America deserves a president who commands respect because of his character, his integrity, and his honesty, not someone who is just the butt of the joke in his own party. Here's the deal, folks. You can't pull the wagon if the horses are kicking each other. It's just common sense when you look at the White House and the Congress right now. You don't see a team working together to solve your problems. You see a circular firing squad. You see a group of people who are so consumed with their own internal power struggles, with who's up and who's down, that they've completely forgotten why they were sent there in the first place. Marjorie Taylor Greene exposing this mockery, this secret laughter, it proves that the Republican Party isn't united by a vision for America. They are united by fear. They are stuck in a toxic marriage where they despise the leader, but are too terrified to leave. And do you know who pays for that dysfunction? You do, when they are busy whispering in the cloakrooms and checking their phones to see if the president has attacked them on social media. They aren't reading the briefing books. They aren't negotiating drug prices. They aren't working to make your community safer. I've spent a long time in Washington. I've seen good years and bad years. But I have never seen a time the governing party was this broken. It's a house divided against itself. And we all know what happens to a house divided. It cannot stand. And right now, it is crumbling on top of the American people. We need a government that functions like a healthy family, or at least a functional workplace. If you went to work tomorrow and spent the whole day mocking your boss behind his back while he threatened to fire you on Twitter, how much work would get done? None. That is exactly what is happening in your government right now. We have to demand serious people for serious times. We need leaders who aren't looking over their shoulder constantly, wondering if they are about to be purged. We need people who can focus on your kitchen table issues. The price of eggs, the cost of gas, the safety of your streets, not the drama of the day. This infighting is a luxury they think they can afford, but I'm telling you, the American people cannot afford it anymore. I want to talk for a moment about the soul of this nation. That's something I've spoken about a lot because I believe it matters. The soul of America is about decency, it's about honesty, it's about looking out for your neighbor. But what does it say to our children? When the highest leaders in the land are engaged in this kind of cynical, two-faced behavior, when we hear that lawmakers are laughing at the president in private while bowing to him in public, it teaches the next generation that integrity doesn't matter. It teaches them that the only thing that counts is power keeping it, holding it, whatever the cost to your own dignity. It creates a culture of cynicism. And cynicism is a poison. It makes us believe that nothing can change, that everyone is a liar, that the whole system is rigged. But I refuse to believe that I know the American people, I know you, and I know that you are better than the example being set in Washington right now. You don't mock your friends behind their backs. You don't lie to your boss just to keep your job. You have honor. And it hurts me. It genuinely hurts me to see our government acting without that same honor. This mockery that Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about is not funny. It's tragic. It shows a complete lack of empathy. If they are laughing at their own leader, they are certainly laughing at the struggles of the people who voted for him. It's a game to them, but for the family in Ohio waiting on a paycheck or the senior in Florida worrying about health care, it's not a game, it's life and death. We need to restore a sense of seriousness and decency to our politics. We need to wash away this cynicism and remember that we are one nation under God indivisible, and we deserve leaders who act like it. You know, there's an old saying that a house built on sand cannot stand. And when I look at what's happening in the Republican Party right now, I see a foundation made of sand. Marjorie Taylor Greene telling the world that her colleagues are laughing at Donald Trump behind his back. It's not just gossip. That is a warning sign. It tells us that the party running the House, the party trying to run the country, is hollowed out. When you have a political party that doesn't believe in its own leader, you don't have a governing coalition. You have a vacuum, and vacuums in politics get filled with chaos. If they are mocking him, it means they don't share his vision. It means there is no plan. There is no shared goal to make your life better. There is only the desperate scramble to hold on to power for one more day. They are riding a tiger, and they are terrified of getting off, even though they're laughing at the tiger while they ride it. And this matters to you because instability in Washington leads to instability in your life. When the government is consumed by this kind of internal drama, they miss the ball. They miss the warning signs of a recession. They miss the threats from overseas. They're too busy looking inward, giggling in the cloakroom, to look outward and protect the American people. I worry about what this does to our democracy long term. Democracy relies on good faith. It relies on people saying, I disagree with you, but I respect the office. But when you have a party that treats the presidency like a joke and a president who demands loyalty he hasn't earned, you erode the very pillars of our republic. We are watching the degradation of our institutions in real time, and we are watching it happen because a group of politicians decided that their careers were more important than their conscience. So where do we go from here, folks? That's the real question. Do we just accept this? Do we accept a government where the leaders are laughing at each other while the people struggle? Do we accept a politics defined by fear, hypocrisy, and cynicism? I don't think so. I know the American people. I know you. You work hard. You tell the truth. You raise your kids to be respectful and kind, and you deserve a government that reflects those same values. You deserve leaders who look you in the eye and tell you the truth, not politicians who say one thing to the camera and another thing behind closed doors. We are better than this. America is better than this. We have the power to change it. That's the beauty of this country. The power isn't tea in the hands of the whisperers in Washington. It's in your hands. It's in your vote. We can choose a path of dignity. We can choose a path of honesty. We can choose to put adults back in the room, care more about the Constitution than their own reelection. We can turn the page on this era of mockery and fear. If you believe that we deserve better, if you believe in restoring the soul of this nation, I need you to make your voice heard right here like this video, so more people see the truth. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about leaders who say one thing and do another. And please subscribe and become a member of this channel. We are building a movement here, one based on respect and truth, and I want you to be a part of it. Let's not settle for the whispering and the chaos. Let's reach for something higher. Let's get back to being the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.